Chris D, and his question is, what is the difference between a stout and a porter? And from the perspective of the drinker, does it really matter? So I'll answer the second question first. I think we're agreed. The answer is no, it does not really matter from the perspective of the drinker. Now, the first question is a really loaded question among craft brewing community. A lot of heated debate goes on over this question about what's the difference between the stout and the porter. So we both have different opinions, so we'll each give you our opinion. I'm of the school of thought that the difference between stout and porter is the spelling. That the two groups of beer styles overlap so closely and so thoroughly that I think of them and treat them the same, and it's more about what you put on the label. But Dave Oldenburg, on the other hand, has a different opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and that's valid and everything. I do think there are some things that make something a stout as opposed to a porter, where it would be probably improper to call it a porter. And one of those things is the use of unmalted roasted barley, which goes into stouts in general, and porters, it would be kind of rare. So to me, if I'm calling something a stout, it contains unmalted roasted barley. If I'm calling something a porter, it probably doesn't. Another thing that to me there's a few other things that make a stout and not a porter. One of those is, I think if you infuse it with nitrogen and pour it through a Guinness faucet like they do with Guinness, that to me is a stout thing, not a porter thing. And another thing, like if you have an oatmeal stout, I've never heard of an oatmeal porter, but you've heard of an oatmeal stout. So if I put a bunch of oatmeal into something that is a porter/stout, I'm going to call it a stout. So there are things like that that I think make it a stout as opposed to a porter. But that said, there's a really lot of overlap between the two styles, and I don't know that there's any real solid, definitive answer.
Well, and to muddy the waters a little further, on the nitrogen question, I've known several Irishmen who call Guinness a porter. So I guess it also depends on what country you're from.
Perhaps that illustrates the problem the best, because here we have Guinness Stout, and they apparently have Guinness Porter.